The international break is over, ladies and gentlemen, and we are back with Championship football, and so we are back with our Championship score predictions. I'm really excited to get into this week. As always, all this weekend's games will be in the description down below so that you guys can go ahead and make your score predictions. And we've got some good games coming up this weekend. I'm excited to get into it. Before we do hop into anything though, I wanted to give a shout out to OneFootball for sponsoring the video. It's a really cool footballing app. I'll leave a link to it in the top line of the description down below, but a really useful app for this weekend and for following all the games going on around the league. You can get live updates on your phone, so you can keep up to date with how everyone else is doing this weekend. You can also check it out for a bit of news and transfer rumours and all that good stuff as well. So like I said, I'll leave a link to it in the top line of the description down below. Feel free to go and check that out. But without any further ado, I'm so happy to have Championship football back. Let's hop into my score predictions. So starting it out with the game going on tonight between Cardiff and Sheffield Wednesday. Now, this far into the season, there's not really been much in it between these two. They were both on a similar run of form before the international break. They've both only lost one of their last 5 fixtures. They both scored the same amount of goals this far into the year. However, it is Sheffield Wednesday with the much superior defence. I think that Julian Borner lately especially has made a big difference to that. Cardiff so far though are unbeaten at home, and I don't think there'll be much in this game. I'm interested to see what Neil Warnock does for his team selection for this one, whether he does bring Neil Etheridge back into the starting lineup. Obviously he's been out since the start of the season with an injury, and Alex Smithies has been playing there, but after their last game before the international break when they conceded 4 goals against West Brom, I think most people would agree that Etheridge is the better goalkeeper. Wednesday though, I mean, they've got attacking options, and I'm very interested to see what Kadeem Harris can do against his former club. It's sort of set up for a Kadeem Harris masterclass in this game. Also, we've got the two Murphy twins going up against each other. That should be an interesting battle. I think with how both sides are going at the moment, I'm going to play it safe and go for a 1-1 draw, with FIFA saying it'll be 2-0 Cardiff. Into Saturday's games, we've then got Blackburn going up against Huddersfield. Now, this is another tough one to call in my view. You have to say that it's probably Huddersfield who are in the better form at the moment. Blackburn haven't won in their last 3 matches. Their performances at home and away have been a little bit varying. Obviously, their last game before the international break was a 4-2 away defeat at Loftus Road to the hands of QPR. Defensively, they looked a bit all over the shop in that one. I think that the injury to Greg Cunningham's really going to be a blow for Blackburn for the rest of this season. I thought it was a really consistent performance for them down that left-hand side, and they've lost quite a bit of stability there. Going forward with Blackburn at the moment as well, you never quite know what Tony Mowbray's going to do. We're seeing, Sam Gallagher leading the line some weeks. We're seeing Danny Graham brought in some weeks, or even both of them together. So I'm not sure how he's going to set them up against this Huddersfield side. Huddersfield, though, have really picked themselves up lately and have been able to get themselves out of the relegation zone. Their last result being a 3-0 home victory over Hull City, where they look really good going forward. Colin Grant scored a fantastic goal in that game. For this one, I think I might go for another draw again. I'm going to go for a 1-1 in this one as well, with FIFA saying it'll be 1-0 Huddersfield. I think that Blackburn really do need to get back to winning ways sooner rather than later though. Barnsley against Swansea up next. Now, this is a good opportunity for Swansea to get back to winning ways, as they've been a little bit rocky in the league lately. They've only picked up 1 win from their last 5 matches. However, Swansea's record against these sort of bottom 3 sides hasn't been great over the past season or two. Obviously, we saw them lose last time against Stoke City, giving them their first win of the season. And lately, I don't know what it has been with Swansea, but there's been quite a bit of inconsistency with their performances. Things have looked a little bit slow for them moving forward. Maybe the answer for them, we spoke about it on the channel a couple of videos ago, would be to move Selena back into that number 10 role and then get a bit more pace on that left-hand side. Perhaps that'd be the answer to things, but they've got a real opportunity here to go at this Barnsley defence, who has been looking incredibly fragile lately. They conceded 10 goals in their last 3 matches. Obviously, Barnsley's last game and the final game for manager Daniel Stendel was a 5-1 away defeat at the hands of Preston North End. Defensively, there was no structure about that performance, and I do feel like if Swansea are on that A game for this one, they should come away with 3 points. I'm interested to see what the whole mood around Barnsley's like for this one, really. I think that, the majority of Barnsley fans are of the opinion that Daniel Stendel was very harshly dealt by with the club. It's going to be Adam Murray in charge for this one. I'm interested to see what work he's done with the squad over the international break, whether they do look a little bit more resolute defensively. I think they've been doing extra training sessions in that time. But for me personally, I think I will back Swansea to get back to winning ways with a 2-1 away victory. Thief is going to say 1-0 Swansea. Big game for both teams, that one. Next up, we then got Brentford going up against Millwall. Millwall, another one of those sides who are still without a manager, so it will be Adam Barrett once again as the caretaker manager for this one. Had a fantastic debut as caretaker manager though, as Millwall managed to stay off Leeds by 2-1 in what was quite a controversial game, I think it's fair to say. But they're going up against a Brentford side who haven't quite got things going so far this season. Thomas Frank and Brentford. Interestingly enough, they have switched up the system lately. They started the season out playing that 3-4-3. That wasn't really working for them. They've now gone back to that 4-3-3, which has had varying levels of success. They looked good at Barnsley when they put 3 goals past them in that game. Ollie Watkins getting a hat-trick. They then had a draw against Bristol City and then lost against Nottingham Forest. Back at Griffin Park for this one though, you feel like Brentford need to start building some momentum from somewhere, and I still get the impression that Brentford will come good at some point. I do still think they have quite a few goals in their squad despite them not scoring many so far this season. I think that when someone like Ben Rama really gets going for the season and finally opens his account for the year, there's a lot of goals and assists to be had in that area. Millwall though I think will defend well for this one and will make it tough for Brentford. Tom Bradshaw is also someone who I think's added a different dimension to Millwall's attack since he's come back from injury. I don't think there'll be a lot in this one. I might just edge towards Brentford being the home side. I'll go 2-1 Brentford. FIFA saying 2-0 Brentford. I don't think there'll be a lot in that one though. Next up we then got Charlton going up against Derby. I think this one will be quite a closely contested game as well. Charlton lately have been a little bit up and down. They've only won 1 of their last 5 matches, but performances on the whole have still been fairly consistent for them. It was a good point away at Craven Cottage last time out, a 2-2 draw where they could have gone on to pick up all 3 points really. They had some really good nice attacking moves going forward. Conor Gallagher's been a real player who stood out to me in recent weeks for them, and he's going to be someone who Derby are going to need to keep tabs on. In terms of Derby, there were a couple of injury scares going into this one. I think that Christian Bielik and Jayden Bogle were both injury doubts, but since then it has come out that they should both be fit for this game, so a big boost for them for this one. Obviously Christian Bielik getting his first crack at his former club, and you have to say that Derby have been much more consistent lately. You know, they are unbeaten in their last 5 matches now, and although the performances haven't always been the best, you've got to give it to them. Results are slowly starting to turn around for them. Their last result was a 2-0 home victory against Luton Town, where they were helped by some dodgy goalkeeping on Luton's part for that one, but you can only beat what's in front of you. Charlton at the Valley do make it tough for teams. Obviously they're still without Lyle Taylor, but they do still have a goal threat going forward. I think I'm just going to edge towards Charlton maybe. That one sort of does go against the form book, but I'll say 2-1 Charlton. FIFA's going to say 1-1. That one could really go either way. And then we got Hull going up against QPR. Hull have been a really weird side lately. They are unbeaten in their last 3 matches at home, but away from home have been a little bit topsy-turvy. Obviously, they lost their last game before the international break, 3-0 against Huddersfield Town with some absolutely abysmal defending, but they're going up against QPR side who has the capability of really exposing some of those flaws in that Hull defence. A really fluid side going forward lately. QPR, Naki Wells seems to be in the form of his life at the moment. Interestingly enough though, with both of these sides, they have both conceded more goals than they've scored so far this season, so I think that defensively that's probably a weakness for both sides so far this season, and for that reason I could see quite a few goals being scored in this one actually. I'm intrigued to know what's happening with Henriksen at Hull at the moment. If any Hull fans could fill me in, let me know in the comments down below. I saw he was on international duty lately, but hasn't really featured for them so far this season. For this game itself though, I think it'll be quite an open one. I can't see any side wanting to sit back, and I can see goals being scored. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. FIFA's going to say it'll be a 0-0. With Leeds against Birmingham, I'm not sure which way to approach this game really. Leeds lately, they are impossible to predict. Their last game before the international break was quite a controversial one against Millwall where they did lose by 2-1, but with that dodgy penalty and red card being given to Verardi, how much can you read into that? I'm not so sure. In this game against Birmingham, I expect as always Leeds will have a lot of the ball, so it's going to be about Birmingham's concentration levels for this one. I very much could see this game ending as a 1-0. To which side though, that's yet to be seen. Birmingham could well go to Leeds, frustrate them for about 80 minutes of the match, and then they'll get one chance with Djukovic at the far post going forward and then walk away with all 3 points. We've seen that happen a couple of times at Ellen Road so far this season, and I've got to say I was quite impressed with Birmingham's last performance. They beat Middlesbrough by 2-1, but that could have easily been 3 or 4 with some of the chances they created in that one. Villalba looked great, Dan Crowley as well getting a brilliant assist for the winner they went on to score. Birmingham shouldn't be taken too lightly by Leeds for this one, but you feel like after everything that has happened, you know, before the international break with Leeds them being a little bit inconsistent, they'll want to click up into gear at this point of the season. I'm interested to see who does lead the line for them, whether Bielsa does stick with Patrick Bamford or he does go for Eddie Nketiah, who is looking very good for the England under-21s. For a prediction, I'm just going to go for a 1-0 Leeds. FIFA's going to say 2-0 Leeds. It could go anyway with them at the moment. Luton going up against Bristol City. I'm very intrigued to see what happens with Simon Sluga, whether Graham Jones does decide to drop him for this one after, it's fair to say, he didn't have his greatest game at Derby last time out. He dropped 2 clangers in that one as Luton lost by 2-0. Going up against Bristol City, who have probably been one of the most, if not the most efficient sides away from home so far this season. They won't make it easy for them. I believe that Thomas Callis and Adam Nagy are both close to their returns to the starting 11 for Bristol City as well. Those two will be massive boosts to have back in the squad. Bristol City have done well in their absence, but having them back in adds a real level of quality to that midfield and defence. It's another matchup which I do see being quite open this week, but I think that Bristol City should just about have enough to see off this Luton squad. So for a prediction, I think I will back Bristol City for a 2-1 away victory. We saw Jeju getting back in the goals for them last week. He'll be looking to carry on adding to his tally. I think he'll just edge Bristol City with FIFA saying it'll be a 1-1 draw. After that, we then got Middlesbrough Middlesbrough going up against West Brom. Now, Middlesbrough at the moment really don't find themselves in a good position. I've been talking about them a bit on the channel so far, saying how inconsistent they've been, but they're only 2 points away from the relegation zone. So if they lose their next few matches, they really do find themselves in a bit of a perilous position there. Without a win in their last 4 matches, they've only drawn 1 of their last 4, and even that one, a 1-1 draw against Preston North End, there wasn't really much quality on show for that game. Their last game against Birmingham wasn't the best from them either. I thought that Darren Randolph dug them out on quite a few occasions. They didn't offer that much going forward, and going up against a West Brom squad who I think have scored the most amount of goals from open play so far this season, it's going to be that sort of backs against the wall sort of job for Middlesbrough, you'd feel like, in this one. West Brom bring such a attacking threat into every game they go into at the moment. I can't see a way past them. They put 4 goals past Cardiff before the international break, looked absolutely ruthless going forward. Middlesbrough and Jonathan Woodgate need to turn this current run of form around as soon as possible, but at the weekend against West Brom, I'm not sure that's going to happen. I'm going to back the away side for a 2-0 victory, with FIFA saying it'll be 1-0 to the Baggies. And then we see Reading going up against my team, Preston. Now, it will be Mark Bowen's first game in charge of Reading. There has been quite a lot made of his appointment so far. Preston are no doubt the favourites coming into this one. We're on an absolute roll at the moment, and Reading have not been great. In their last home game, they conceded 4 goals against Fulham. This winless run that they're on at the moment isn't helping things. Maybe over the international break, they would have worked in a few things and will be looking a little bit more solid for this one. It's probably not helped matters that their strikers haven't been on form as well, and they will be going up against a side who has scored more goals than anyone else in the Championship this far into this season in Preston North End. For Preston, I'm really intrigued to see who will lead the line for us in this one. Will David Nugent still be there as that focal point for us going forward? Despite not scoring against Barnsley, his hold-up play was actually very good, and he brought others into play very well. Obviously, Daniel Johnson has been the main man for us so far this season, and Reading are going to have to try and find a way to stop him. In the last game against Barnsley, he was absolutely unplayable. 2 goals and an assist in that game. Preston like to attack teams with pace, so I'm interested to see how Reading actually try and go about this game, whether they do look to play on the front foot or they look to sit off and play on the counter a little bit. I'm intrigued to know. One thing I would say though is Preston's record against Reading away from home over the last few years has not been the best, and I've got a bit of a feeling that Reading might just sneak a draw from this one. I think that Preston should be able to win it, but I've got a feeling about it's Bowen's first game in charge. They might get that manager bounce and everything. I'll say 1-1 and hope I'm wrong. Stoke against Fulham is our next matchup. Now, I'm sure a lot of people will probably be backing the away side for this one, but who knows, after Stoke did manage to pick up their first win of the season against Swansea, and a deserved win at that before the international break, who knows what will happen in this one. Honestly, I can see goals being scored in this game. One thing I would point out is Fulham's record against the sides currently in the bottom half of the table is very good. They've not really slipped up in any of those matches so far. It's been against the sides who are going for the top 6, who Fulham have found it a little bit tougher to break down. But for example, games against the likes of Wigan, Reading, we saw them put 4 goals past them. They put 4 goals past Millwall as well. I still feel as if that Stoke defence is quite fragile, but they do look to offer a little bit more going forward at this point in time. I think for this one, it's going to be that sort of game where Stoke take the lead, Fulham get back into it, they go like 3-1 up or something, and then Stoke get another goal back, and it's a crazy, frantic last 10 minutes or so. With the attacking quality that Fulham have in this game, I really can't see past them. Although Stoke were able to pull off an upset against Swansea, so who knows. For a prediction, I'm going to go for a really entertaining 3-2 away victory for Fulham, with FIFA saying it'll be 2-0 Fulham. Stoke could pull something out of the bag here. And then to finish things off with Sunday's game between Wigan and Nottingham Forest. Now, both sides are in different parts of the table at the moment, but I still see this one being a fairly close one. Wigan are unbeaten in their last 3 home matches now and have been able to keep things fairly tight at the DW so far. Away from home, they look like a different side, but that won't really come into play with this one. You have to give credit to Nottingham Forest, though, with how well they've been going lately. Obviously, they're still unbeaten since the opening day. They've got a fantastic away record. They've won 3 out of their last 4 away matches, and there seems to be much more ruthlessness about Nottingham Forest this season compared to last season. Now they're killing off games, they're seeing things off. Obviously, they added to the squad well in the summer, but people have really stepped up for them this season. Like Ben Watson of all people, you know, he's coming up with goals left, right and centre, and he's putting in massive performances in the middle of the pitch for Forest. I think they've got a bunch of goals in that squad as well. Wigan can still sometimes be a little bit light defensively, although saying that, they are capable of switching it up a little bit with the way they like to go forward. I think I am going to back Forest for all 3 points in this one. I'll go for a 2-1 away victory. FIFA's going to agree with me for that one. Forest are on an absolute roll at the moment. They're sat second in the Championship, and I can't see a way past them in this one. I'll go 2 on Forest. I think it still might be a closer one though. But guys, there you have it. There are my Championship score predictions for this week's action. So as always, all this weekend's games will be in the description down below so that you guys can go ahead and make your score predictions. And if you do manage to get any of them right, your comment will be included at the start of the next video. But like I said, that will now wrap it up for this one, guys. So if you did go on to enjoy, make sure you leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. Make sure you subscribe for a bit of regular Championship content. But apart from that, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.